To achieve goals you've never achieved before, you need to start doing things you've never done before. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Make small commitments and keep them. Be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. We immediately become more effective when we decide to change ourselves rather than asking things to change for us. You can learn great things from your mistakes when you aren't busy denying them. You can't change the fruit without changing the root. Always surround yourself with people who are even more talented and competent than you. What does it matter how much we do if what we're doing isn't what matters most? You don't see the world as it is, you see it according to who you are. There are 3 constants in life: change, choice, and principles. Free your heart from hatred, forgive. Free your mind from worries, most never happen. Live simply and appreciate what you have. Give more. Expect less. Most of us spend too much time on what is urgent and not enough time on what is important. We judge ourselves by our intentions, and others by their actions. The environment you fashion out of your thoughts, your beliefs, your ideals, your philosophy is the only climate you will ever live in. The key is in not spending time, but in investing it. Live out of your imagination, not your history. Link yourself to your potential, not to your past. Live your life by a compass, not a clock. While we see every problem as an opportunity to exercise creative energy, cannot always choose what happens to us, we can choose our responses. The key is in not spending time, but in investing it. If the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. The reality is that everybody makes mistakes. The issue isn't whether you will make them, it's what you will do about them. It's whether you will choose the path of humility and courage or the path of ego and pride. See every problem as an opportunity to exercise creative energy. The problems in life come when we're sowing one thing and expecting to reap something entirely different. Self-awareness involves deep personal honesty. It comes from asking and answering hard questions. Prepare your mind and heart before you prepare your speech. What we say may be less important than how we say it. Trust is the highest form of human motivation. It brings out the very best in people. But it takes time and patience. Our ultimate freedom is the right and power to decide how anybody or anything outside ourselves will affect us. Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships. Unless you're continually improving your skills, you're quickly becoming irrelevant. Almost every significant breakthrough is the result of a courageous break with traditional ways of thinking. Motivation is a fire from within. If someone else tries to light that fire under you, chances are it will burn very briefly. If we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. What you do has far greater impact than what you say. The highest challenge inside organizations is to enable each person to contribute his or her unique talents and passion to accomplish the organization's purpose. Life is not accumulation, it is about contribution. The key to growth is to learn to make promises and to keep them. Our lives are the results of our choices. To blame and accuse other people, the environment, or other extrinsic factors is to choose to empower those things to control us. All things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. The key to creativity is to begin with the end in mind, with a vision and a blueprint of the desired result. Where you are headed is more important than how fast you are going. Rather than always focusing on what's urgent, learn to focus on what is really important. Writing is another powerful way to sharpen the mental saw. Keeping a journal of our thoughts, experiences, insights, and learnings promotes mental clarity, exactness, and context. Trust is a function of two things: character and competence. Character includes your integrity, your motive, and your intent with people. Competence includes your capabilities, your skills, and your track record. Both are vital. Humility is the mother of all virtues, courage the father, integrity the child, and wisdom the grandchild. Be sure that, as you scramble up the ladder of success, it is leaning against the right building. The more deeply you understand other people, the more you will appreciate them, the more reverent you will feel about them. To touch the soul of another human being is to walk on holy ground. Once you've found your own voice, the choice to expand your influence, to increase your contribution, is the choice to inspire others to find their voice. Remember that our reactions are a product of our perceptions, and our perceptions are a result of what is at the center of our life. When you really listen to another person from their point of view, and reflect back to them that understanding, it's like giving them emotional oxygen. Peace of mind comes when your life is in harmony with true principles and values, and in no other way. Improve relationships with others by assuming that they can hear everything you say about them. As you care less about what people think of you, you will care more about what others think of themselves. When you show deep empathy toward others, their defensive energy goes down, and positive energy replaces it. That's when you can get more creative in solving problems. The amateur salesman sells products, the professional sells solutions to needs and problems. If I really want to improve my situation, I can work on the one thing over which I have control, myself. Happiness can be defined, in part at least, as the fruit of the desire and ability to sacrifice what we want now for what we want eventually. You can buy a person's hands, but you can't buy his heart. His heart is where his enthusiasm, his loyalty is. Don't argue for other people's weaknesses. Don't argue for your own. When you make a mistake, admit it, correct it, and learn from it immediately. If you can hire people whose passion intersects with the job, they won't require any supervision at all. They will manage themselves better than anyone could ever manage them. Their fire comes from within, not from without. Their motivation is internal, not external. To be successful, we must live from our imaginations, not from our memories. When you engage in a work that taps your talent and fuels your passion, that rises out of a great need in the world, that you feel drawn by conscience to meet, therein lies your voice, your calling, your soul's code. Most people think of leadership as a position and therefore don't see themselves as leaders. Most people struggle with life balance simply because they haven't paid the price to decide what is really important to them. Little kindness and courtesies are so important. In relationships, the little things are the big things. The key to creating passion in your life is to find your unique talents and your special role and purpose in the world. It's not what people do to us that hurts us. In the most fundamental sense, it is our chosen response to what they do to us that hurts us. If the only vision we have of ourselves comes from the social mirror, from the current social paradigm, and from the opinions, perceptions, and paradigms of the people around us, our view of ourselves is like the reflection in a crazy mirror room at the carnival. Every human has four endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. These give us the ultimate human freedom. The power to choose, to respond, to change. Once you have a clear picture of your priorities, that is, values, goals, and high-leverage activities, organize around them. Management is formal authority given from above. Leadership is moral authority given from below and all around. Perform anonymous service. Whenever we do good for others anonymously, our sense of intrinsic worth and self-respect increases. Selfless service has always been one of the most powerful methods of influence. If we want to make a change in our lives, we should first focus on our personal attitudes and behaviors. Your most important work is always ahead of you, never behind you. We are free to choose our actions, but we are not free to choose the consequences of these actions. A long, healthy, and happy life is the result of making contributions, of having meaningful projects that are personally exciting and contribute to and bless the lives of others. Most people say their main fault is a lack of discipline. On deeper thought, I believe this is not the case. The basic problem is that their priorities have not become deeply planted in their hearts and minds. You can't be successful with other people if you haven't paid the price of success with yourself. I think the most significant work we'll do in our whole life, in our whole world, is done within the four walls of our home. Communication is the most important skill in life. We spend most of our waking hours communicating. But consider this: you've spent years learning how to read and write, years learning how to speak. But what about listening? But until a person can say deeply and honestly, "I am what I am today because of the choices I made yesterday," that person cannot say, "I choose otherwise." If two people have the same opinion, one is unnecessary. I don't want to talk, to communicate, with someone who agrees with me. I want to communicate with you because you see it differently. I value that difference. Principles don't die. They aren't here one day and gone the next. They can't be destroyed by fire, earthquake, or theft. Principles are deep, fundamental truths, classic truths. One of the most important ways to manifest integrity is to be loyal to those who are not present. In doing so, we build the trust of those who are present. How different our lives are when we really know what is deeply important to us, and keeping that picture in mind, we manage ourselves each day to be and to do what really matters most. We are not animals. We are not a product of what has happened to us in our past. We have the power of choice. Stop setting goals. Goals are pure fantasy unless you have a specific plan to achieve them. The challenge is not to manage time, but to manage ourselves. Habit is the intersection of knowledge, what to do, skill, how to do, and desire, want to do. It takes humility to seek feedback. It takes wisdom to understand it, analyze it, and appropriately act on it. You have to water the flowers you want to grow. Most leaders would agree that they'd be better off having an average strategy with superb execution than a superb strategy with poor execution. Those who execute always have the upper hand. Unless people feel that they are accepted and that they have a right to express their feelings without fear of embarrassment or ridicule, all they will do is react and rebel and struggle for their identity. The key is taking responsibility and initiative, deciding what your life is about and prioritizing your life around the most important things. Two people can see the same thing, disagree, and yet both be right. It's not logical, it's psychological. If you're proactive, you don't have to wait for circumstances or other people to create perspective-expanding experiences. You can consciously create your own. The more involved you are, the more significant your learning will be. Don't cheat people of their growth. Empower them to solve problems and generate ideas. Watch them grow. What you see often depends on what you are looking for. Whenever you experience stress of any kind, look into yourself and ask, in what way am I compromising my innermost values in this situation? Be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender, it's holy ground. There's no greater investment. You can't hold someone accountable for results if you supervise their methods. We must not let the actions or words of others determine our responses. Magnanimous people make the choice to respond to the indignities of others based upon their own principles and their own value system rather than their moods or anger. The most effective way I know to begin with the end in mind is to develop a personal mission statement or philosophy or creed. It focused on what you want to be, character, and to do, contributions and achievements, and on the values or principles upon which being and doing are based. Nothing is as fast as the speed of trust. Nothing is as fulfilling as a relationship of trust. Nothing is as inspiring as an offering of trust. Nothing is as profitable as the economics of trust. Nothing has more influence than a reputation of trust. Moving along the upward spiral requires us to learn, commit, and do on increasingly higher planes. We deceive ourselves if we think that any one of these is sufficient. To keep progressing, we must learn, commit, and do, learn, commit, and do, and learn, commit, and do again. An effective goal focuses primarily on results rather than activity. It identifies where you want to be, and, in the process, helps you determine where you are. It gives you important information on how to get there, and it tells you when you have arrived. It unifies your efforts and energy. It gives meaning and purpose to all you do. Most of us think we don't have enough time to exercise. What a distorted paradigm. We don't have time not to. We're talking about 3 to 6 hours a week or a minimum of 30 minutes a day, every other day. That hardly seems an inordinate amount of time considering the tremendous benefits in terms of the impact on the other 162 to 165 hours of the week. In the space between stimulus, what happens, and how we respond, lies our freedom to choose. Ultimately, this power to choose is what defines us as human beings. We may have limited choices, but we can always choose. We can choose our thoughts, emotions, moods, our words, our actions. We can choose our values and live by principles. It is the choice of acting or being acted upon. If I were to summarize in one sentence the single most important principle I have learned in the field of interpersonal relations, it would be this: seek first to understand, then to be understood. This principle is the key to effective interpersonal communication. All things are created twice. There is a mental, first, creation, and a physical, second, creation. The physical creation follows the mental, just as a building follows a blueprint. If you don't make a conscious effort to visualize who you are and what you want in life, then you empower other people and circumstances to shape you in your life by default. To begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. When parents see their children's problems as opportunities to build the relationship instead of as negative, burdensome irritations, it totally changes the nature of parent-child interaction. Parents become more willing, even excited, about deeply understanding and helping their children. This paradigm is powerful in business as well. The first principle of ethical power is purpose. By purpose, I don't mean your objective or intention, something toward which you are always striving. Purpose is something bigger. It is the picture you have of yourself, the kind of person you want to be, or the kind of life you want to lead. It's not enough to have values without vision. You want to be good, but you want to be good for something. On the other hand, vision without values can create a Hitler. An empowering mission statement deals with both character and competence, what you want to be and what you want to do in your life. I am personally convinced that one person can be a change catalyst, a transformer in any situation, any organization. Such an individual is yeast that can leaven an entire loaf. It requires vision, initiative, patience, respect, persistence, courage, and faith to be a transforming leader. Too many vacations that last too long, too many movies, too much TV, too much video game playing, too much undisciplined leisure time in which a person continually takes the course of least resistance gradually wastes a life. It ensures that a person's capacities stay dormant, that talents remain undeveloped, that the mind and spirit become lethargic, and that the heart remains unfulfilled.